Greetings Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live, from the Maverick News Network, World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. Great to have everybody here. A lot again tonight to unpack. Stacked program, tons of things to talk about, not the least of which is Nick Reiner being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and that case, largely because of what Donald Trump has done in response, or said or posted online, that's dividing, fracturing MAGA even further than we've seen in the last couple of months. We'll illustrate that for you. Also, new video released by investigators in the Brown University shooting. We have fallout from Susie Wiles, the powerhouse behind the Trump administration, who normally sits back in the shadows behind the scenes and directs things from the White House. And she revealed some secrets of MAGA to the Atlantic that some people are probably wishing she hadn't tonight. So we'll touch on that. Plus the Candace Owens, Erica Kirk feud enters a new phase. Oh, and Don Jr. He is hitched again, but to a different fiance now. So we'll show you that as well. And EVs, Europe hitting, throwing it into reverse on the ban that they were planning for gasoline-powered vehicles. So stay with us. We have a lot to share with you tonight. I'll be back, and we'll start unpacking it on the other side of it.
Greetings brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Top story tonight. Prosecutors in California said they are going to file murder charges against Nick Reiner, son of Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner. This coming from Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman. Hochman says his office is going to file 2 counts of first-degree murder with a special circumstance alleging multiple murders. And this was announced just a while ago at a news conference. He's also facing a special allegation that he used a knife in the killings. So this carries a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty if convicted. So we have video. So let's go to that now. Direct from the news conference. And this is also still sending waves through the political environment tonight, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. Still more follow-up, not just from the murders and the murder investigation, but also from, oh yeah, Donald Trump. Reaction to his reaction. Here we go with the news conference.
That our office will be filing charges against Nick Reiner, who is accused of killing his parents, actor-director Rob Reiner, and photographer-producer Michelle Singer Reiner. These charges will be 2 counts of first-degree murder with a special circumstance of multiple murders. He also faces a special allegation that he personally used a dangerous and deadly weapon, that being a knife. These charges carry a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. No decision at this point has been made with respect to the death penalty. We have requested, and currently Nick Reiner is being held without bail. Now, in announcing these charges, I also want to announce that they're just that. They are charges. Charges are not evidence. Evidence is something that we will be presenting in a court of law to meet the standard of proof we meet in every criminal case, which is beyond a reasonable doubt, to 12 jurors who will unanimously have to find that we've met that standard to prove the charges we bring to court. Right now, with respect to the process, once the charges get filed this afternoon, Nick Reiner will be then brought to court. He is going through medical clearance, something that everybody who gets arrested and gets held in a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department jail goes through. Once he is medically cleared, he will be brought to court to be arraigned on these charges. At that point, he will enter a plea of guilty or not guilty.
The second doctor charged in the overdose.
So let me just pull the audio down on that. We have tonight a lot of, reaction to Trump's reaction to all of that. And others, too, have responded online over the last couple of days. And it's really creating more division within the MAGA movement. How can I put this? A very unexpected turn of events, first with the murders and then with the response from Trump. Let's bring that up and we'll show you that again. And this is generating, a range of responses. Here's what Trump posted that really infuriated some people within the MAGA movement. And that's a word actually that James Woods used. He says he's infuriated, he finds it infuriating to hear people responding in a way that they're almost celebrating the death of Rob Reiner. Anyway, here's what Trump said. He said, a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome. sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. This has sent shockwaves through the political community, period, and in general. Now, I mentioned James Woods. So let's bring up, first of all, his reaction, and then I'm going to show you some of the more recent developments in this area. So this is how James Woods responded. And of course, James Woods is a conservative and has been in the conservative camp, really, I think from the beginning of the whole MAGA movement. Great actor and a friend of Rob Reiner's.
Would have seen, it's impossible to talk about him in the past tense, but I'd be at a party at my friend's house, and people who didn't know that Rob and I knew each other, they'd see us laughing and, kidding each other, and they'd go, "How is it that you and Rob Reiner are friends?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" They said, "Well, you're so different in your politics and so on." I said, "Look, let me explain something about Rob Reiner so that you know. First of all, I judge people by how they treat me, and Rob Reiner was a godsend in my life. We got along great. We loved each other. We had more fun together doing a very serious subject. It was a way to kind of get through it. And he was always on my side. But when people would say to me, "Well, what do you think of his politics?" I would say, "I think Rob Reiner is a great patriot." Do I agree with some of or many of his ideas on how that patriotism should be enacted to celebrate the America that we both love? No. But he doesn't agree with me either, but he also respects my patriotism. We had a different path to the same destination, which was a country we both loved. And when people would say terrible things to me on social media about him, I said, "You got it all wrong. And yes, I can see how you can disagree with him, but because you disagree with people doesn't mean that you have to hate people." And what Rob and I could do, Rob and I could sit in a room. I could sit in a room with Sean Penn, by the way. I could sit in a room with a lot of my liberal friends and say, "Look, I think you're wrong about this, this, and this." And they could say the same to me, and we would find a way to work it out. And that was one of the great things about him. He was a real thinker when you had a chance to talk to him. And a lot of people just don't think anymore. And look, I knew and by the way, we're talking about a tragedy here about Rob and Michelle,
right?
Two extraordinary, lovely people. And you can't forget how important it is, because that marriage, Michelle did in Rob's life what Rob did in my life at a time when I needed him. And all I've ever said about Rob Reiner is he's somebody I love, respect, and cherish. And when my friend Carol called me and said, "Listen, I want you to hear about this before it's on the news," Rob and Michelle were murdered. And I literally said, "Rob and Michelle who?" She goes, "Reiner." And I said, I literally, when you can't breathe, I literally said, and I said, "Was it a home invasion?" And she said, "We don't know, but it may have been Nick."
Oh.
And I'm telling you, I just felt the floor. I just felt my heart drop. And I just thought, what Tracy's going to go through, what
did you have any idea?
Yeah, but that's a very mature response, and a reasonable and compassionate response. James Woods is a thoughtful man. Not everyone quite so thoughtful. Certainly not the president. He has just given more ammunition to his political adversaries. He became, he dominated the news cycle again, even, dominating the headlines over top of the murders themselves by making it about him again, and even overnight, late night talk shows. That was the subject, and he became the target. And Jimmy Kimmel made the most of it. You know, Trump, in a way, has really helped Kimmel reach new heights in terms of viewership, popularity, even as he tried to destroy him by trying to force the network to take his job away because of Kimmel's response to the Charlie Kirk murder. This is what he had on his, he was going on about it last night. I watched the video. I don't think we're going to run the whole thing here because of copyright issues with ABC, but here he is. And here's a post about it from Consequence on X saying Jimmy Kimmel addressed Donald Trump's reaction to Rob Reiner's death. Quote, "What we need in a time like this is compassion and leadership. We did not get that from our president because he has none of that to give." This is Kimmel's words last night. "I know from my personal interactions with Rob Reiner, he'd want us to keep pointing out the lonesome atrocities that continue to ooze out of this sick and irresponsible man's mouth until the rest of us wake up." And there's the Trump post from Truth Social on screen during the Kimmel monologue, right off the top of the Kimmel show. Here is a clip from the show. Let me bring it up.
Corroded brain is in charge of our lives. If you voted for that, it's okay to reconsider. It's perfectly fine. And I have to say, I know from my personal interactions with Rob Reiner that he would want us to keep pointing out the loathsome atrocities that continue to ooze out of this sick and irresponsible man's mouths. And so we're going to do that over and over again until the rest of us wake up.
So let's just backtrack a little bit here. I'm going to scroll up to this clip. Some people are posting this stuff to show the contrast between what Kimmel said about Trump and the Trump Reiner story and what he said after the Charlie Kirk murder.
Just when you think he can't go any lower, he somehow finds a way to do that. His description of what happened, of course, is not at all what happened. And this is exactly what I've spoken about before, this rush to pin the tail on the donkey in pursuit of the Trump-friendly narrative, not to mention blaming his death on the fact that he is an outspoken liberal, insulting someone who's just been murdered, who leaves children behind without having any idea of what actually happened. It's so hateful and vile. When I first saw it, I thought it was fake. My wife showed it to me this morning. I was like, well, even for him, that seemed like too much, but nothing is ever too much for him. We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. Just when you think he can't go any lower, he somehow finds a way to do that. His
Well, a contrast, politics injected into really a domestic family tragedy, a horrific killing, you know, and even some of the things that I said and produced during the Charlie Kirk news cycle, for lack of a better way of putting it, taken the wrong way, misunderstood. But that's the danger in saying anything these days at all political. So Yeah, then later in the program, brought up Michelle Obama. So politics just weaving its way through every late night program now, not like the old days. Johnny Carson's era. You had some politics, but it wasn't every night. It was more entertainment than politics. Now the politics is the entertainment. And the politics and the entertainment blend and create gray areas and overlap. And that's what we're seeing even in the world of professional wrestling, WWE. And here you can go on social media and you'll see that Mick Foley is saying he's going to part ways with the WWE because of the company's relationship with Donald Trump. Quote, he says, "I no longer wish to represent a company that coddles a man so seemingly void of compassion as he marches our country towards autocracy. Last night, I informed WWE Talent Relations that I would not be making any appearances for the company as long as this man remains in office." So as I say, it is continuing to deepen the divide even within the MAGA movement. And Trump is, I think, suffering a slip in popularity that is pronounced. How deep is it? Well, I don't know. It's definite. It's happening. You can just sense it. Although I don't have real solid numbers to back it up, and it won't matter what the numbers are anyway. Trump will just come out and deny, and make up stuff in order to deny. But it's happening in real time. And so that's what's happening in the world of MAGA, in the world of politics. And I think it says something about the state of our society in this new information, digital information, social media era, AI. What era are we even in? It's been rapid transition, hasn't it? It's been an evolution in terms of news and information. What era are we in? It's a revolution of some kind, an information revolution, a tech revolution. Then the next version or equivalent of an industrial revolution. It's having an impact on us in so many different ways. Social media, we haven't even had social media around long enough to figure all of that stuff out, and we already have AI upon us. And we will be talking more about that in the weeks ahead, the days ahead, the months ahead, the years ahead. Unless, of course, the AI overlords exterminate us. Joking, I think.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Update on the Brown University shooting investigation. Police have released a new video showing a man of interest. You may have seen it, you may not have. We're going to bring you what is really the most up-to-date and recent information on this, and we're going to show you the video. We're going to let the ABC clip speak for itself here, and then comment a little bit on the other side. Here we go.
Overnight, authorities sharing new surveillance videos and the clearest images yet of a person of interest in the Brown University mass shooting.
The sooner we can identify that person, the sooner we can, I think, blow this case open. But that's work that has to happen in the next 24 to 36 hours.
The individual seen here just hours prior to Saturday afternoon's deadly rampage, masked and wearing dark clothing, crossing the street in a residential area near campus. Later that day, police say a gunman armed with a 9mm handgun entered the Barris and Holly Engineering Building and fired more than 40 rounds into a lecture hall as dozens of students were studying for finals. 2 students killed, 8 others remain hospitalized.
We want to see the individual that pulled the trigger on these young kids identified, apprehended, and brought to justice.
Federal, state, and local investigators canvassing the area Monday, along with canines, meticulously searching for clues near the crime scene. The renewed urgent manhunt comes after a stunning twist. A person initially detained over the weekend released after being effectively cleared.
Do you believe people here should feel safe right now?
I do. I understand why there is deep discomfort. However, we have a very safe community with a lot of law enforcement resources at our disposal right now.
A community consumed by grief as we learn more about the lives lost. Sophomore Ella Cook, a piano enthusiast, remembered as a bright light. 18-year-old Muhammad Aziz Umrazakov from Uzbekistan, known as kind, funny, and smart.
He was the kind of person who would laugh about his own quirks, and he taught me that it's okay to make fun of yourself. And honestly, I think it's made me much happier as a person. I've grown so much just from meeting him.
And a number of private schools and colleges in the area are now closed. Also, some after-school programs canceled due to the trauma of this tragedy. Meantime, back here at the crime scene, the FBI is rushing in more resources here, including additional lab personnel and evidence response teams. George?
Yeah, still a lot of fear. Okay, Whit, thanks very much.
A lot of criticism being leveled at the FBI because of this investigation and others. In fact, tonight we're seeing deepening cracks within the FBI. There are reports that Dan Bongino, deputy director of the FBI under Kash Patel, might be looking at leaving his post. Ever since he, I don't know how much you've paid attention to this, but I have, the way I'm seeing it, he doesn't seem comfortable in that position. He doesn't seem comfortable with a lot of the things that seem to be going on within the FBI and maybe even the Trump administration. And this is a guy who was like a heavy duty Trump supporter from the beginning. It always has been. But you can see it. And they've had clashes. Bongino and Patel. I think this is the clip where he bids farewell to his audience as he prepares to embark on his new career as the deputy FBI director. A lot of criticism directed at Patel and also at Bongino, because a lot of people are saying the FBI right now seems to be rudderless, that they have incompetent leadership. My impression, and this is just my impression, Bongino, I think, is a very smart guy. Bongino, used to work for the Secret Service. He understands law enforcement. If you're going to put a couple of media guys in charge of the FBI, it seems to me it should be the other way around. It should have been Bongino as the director of the FBI, not Kash Patel. And if you're going to do anything with Patel, I don't know, have Patel peel potatoes or something. At least Bongino has some actual training and experience in policing of sorts, understands policing. And yeah, I think he's he's the odd man out because I think he actually has some competence, but not the power. as the deputy director of the FBI. Let's play this clip. I'm not sure. I think this is his farewell address.
I'm really just a little bit overwhelmed. Because, you know, with the show and all the clips and having everybody here, it's the energy kind of just distracts you from the reality of, you know, what's about to happen. And it really hit me this morning. I want you to know how much I love you guys. I mean that. You know, people throw that term around, but I really love you guys. I feel like I've met so many of you. Some of you I've never even seen, whether it was Eric or Jeremy on the radio show. I chose early on to interact with my audience in kind of a different way, and it's paid me back so many dividends. And there's nothing more incredible than going out at a book signing and someone goes, hey, how'd that treat you gave Lucy the other day work out? And you're like, how'd you know that? Like, you said it on the radio. I'm like, I did? Like, you know, that people, the relationship seems so asymmetric at times. Like, you know about me, but I don't know about you. But I know all I need to know about you, which is you've been there for me when I needed you. And to walk away from this was, I promise you, was not easy. But I absolutely know that this was the right thing to do. I've told you over and over, but that measure the effectiveness of what you do in your life by how people who stand and tell you to stop react. And the reaction has been exactly what I expected. I promise you this, I'm going there with a clear mission in mind. I go there with a clear head. This was done for the right reasons. And I am really, really, really going to miss doing this and being here with you every day. From this point on, if you follow me on deep breath, see, breathe in, it's easier. My social media accounts are not going to be abandoned, but I won't be posting about politics. It'd be inappropriate during my time. There's understandable restrictions on that, which make perfect sense. But you can still follow me. I'll be opening up different accounts and official accounts and things like that. But I have to stay out of the political space because it's the right thing to do and it's the rules. And I hope you understand that. I'm not going there to be some partisan. I know the people who hate my guts in the media. I don't expect you to understand that. The idea of putting aside your politics to do a job is definitely foreign to you. I totally get that, but it's not to me. You know, I proudly protected 2 Democrat presidents and a Republican. No problem at all. I'm not sure you could do that, but I did. And now it's a different protection role. So I still got a radio show to do, which is crazy. I don't know how I'm going to get through that. So I'll end as I began. I'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you. That was hard, man. Wow.
3 more hours.
Yeah. 3 more hours to go.
Hang on, we've got a little bit more. We'll let this roll. See, the rumors are that, or the word is, whatever, however you want to characterize it, is that they're trying to push him out.
Is now real. So, President, Attorney General Bondi, and now Director, gosh, that sounds good to say, FBI Director Akash Patel offered this role, a role I expressed an interest in. And ladies and gentlemen, I told you, you see, it's hard for me. I'm going to accept the role proudly as the Deputy Director, the #2 spot at the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
We'll see. He's been in the middle of a tempest over there since stepping into the role, and there have been clashes, publicized. Keep an eye on that one, and I'll make a prediction. This administration under Trump 2.0, it's been one hell of a gong show. And when this whole thing wraps up, there's going to be a lot of books written about what's really going on behind the scenes. And when we come back on the other side, the Iron Lady behind the scenes kind of spilled the beans on some of these MAGA secrets already to the Atlantic, even while she's trying to support Trump.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
Yeah. So Susie Wiles, here, let's show you what's going on with her. This woman has like immense power. She's the one who has really, I think, in many respects, been keeping the train on the tracks over there at the White House. She's the, I think she's the brains and the brawn behind the scenes, pulling strings, cracking the whip, keeping people in line. She gave an interview to The Atlantic, and I wouldn't say a friendly publication to Trump, but very credible. A lot of smart people over there at The Atlantic. Here's the headline over on NBC, because the interview and the Atlantic story has become a story. Top takeaways from White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles interviews with Vanity Fair. My mistake, not The Atlantic. I'm thinking about David from Vanity Fair. She reflected on the last 11 months in a series of interviews for a profile by the magazine. She called the article a disingenuously framed hit piece today. So does this mean what? They're lying? They're taking her quotes out of context? I'm not sure. It says here, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles reflected on President Donald Trump's second term in a series of interviews for a two-part profile published Tuesday today by Vanity Fair. Speaking candidly about key players in the administration who have influence over the president and some of the administration's more controversial policies. So what are some of the things that she touched on here? She talked about Trump having the personality of an alcoholic. Yeah, that doesn't really help out Trump too much, although he doesn't drink. So I guess it's just an observation about his personality quirks, and he has lots of those. Quote, some clinical psychologists, this is a bit of a tongue twister for me. Some clinical psychologist that knows 1 million times more than I do will dispute what I'm going to say, but high-functioning alcoholics or alcoholics in general, their personalities are exaggerated when they drink, Wiles said. And so I'm a little bit of an expert in big personalities. She added that Trump, quote, operates with a view that there's nothing he can't do, nothing, zero, nothing. And then, of course, Trump has been quoted as saying, you see, I don't drink alcohol, so everybody knows that. But I've often said that if I did, I'd have a very good chance of being an alcoholic. I have said that many times about myself. I do. It's a very possessive personality. I'm fortunate I'm not a drinker. If I did, I could very well, because I've said that. What's the word? Not possessive and addictive type personality. Oh, I've said it many times before. And he, as far as I know, he doesn't drink, and he says he doesn't, and I believe that. Wells said confidently that Trump won't run for a third term, even though he has floated it occasionally. Quote, he knows he can't run again, she said, adding that the 22nd Amendment makes it pretty unequivocal, and said Trump has said as much to her. We'll see, because there's this whole machine within the MAGA movement and the Republican Party that wants him to, and they're trying to make it happen. And Steve Bannon has a contrary view on that. She said some other things here that kind of get him into some hot water, too. And she says that Trump wants to continue blowing up boats off the coast of Venezuela until Maduro cries uncle. And she says about Pam Bondi and the Jeffrey Epstein files here. She says, Wiles said that she has read what she calls the Epstein file and said that while Trump is in it, he's not doing anything awful. She said Trump and the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein were, quote, young single playboys together. Well, he certainly was that. Wiles disputed Trump's statements about former President Bill Clinton and Epstein, saying there is no evidence that Clinton visited one of Epstein's islands as many as 28 times, as Trump has claimed. She also said Trump's claim that there is anything incriminating about Clinton and the files were inaccurate. Quote, the president was wrong about that, Wiles said. Well, it doesn't stop him from just saying whatever he's going to say anyway, because if he says it enough, a lot of people just believe whatever he's lying about. But I'm not so sure that he was lying. I don't know. That's the thing. Release the files. Oh, there's Trump being one of those wild and crazy playboys with Jeffrey Epstein. Just one wild and crazy playboy. Oh, there he is. Oh, look at the face on Elon Musk in that shot. He photobombs J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and J.D. Vance attending the Army-Navy football game last December. A year ago. Wow. Almost been a year since Trump took office. Wiles talks about Musk's role in the administration. She talks about him microdosing. So it doesn't help Elon Musk very much either. As I say, gong show. Gong show. What a mess, eh? What a bloody mess. Speaking of Maduro, look at the post on Truth Social tonight. I told you he wants to take over the country. I told you it was about, well, regime change anyway, not so much about Trump taking, or the U.S. taking over Venezuela. What they want to do is they want to take it over without making it look like they're taking it over. That's the game plan. Right here, he says, why else would you do this? And just talk about it openly. Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. It will only get bigger, and the shock to them will be like nothing they have ever seen before. Until such time as they return to the United States of America all of the oil, land, and other assets that they previously stole from us. Hang on a minute. I need to think about this. Venezuela is surrounded by an armada and is going to get bigger until they return to the U.S. the oil, land, and other assets that they previously stole from the U.S.? What the hell is he talking about? Can somebody help me out on this? What did Venezuela steal from the United States? Maybe I'm missing something here. The illegitimate Maduro regime is using oil from these stolen oil fields to finance themselves, drug terrorism, human trafficking, murder, and kidnapping. I don't think Maduro's a nice guy. So there might be some truth in some of that. For the theft of our assets and many other reasons, including terrorism, drug smuggling, and human trafficking, the Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization. Therefore, today I am ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela. These illegal aliens and criminals that the Maduro regime has sent into the United States during the weak and inept Biden administration are being returned to Venezuela at a rapid pace. America will not allow criminals, terrorists, or other countries to rob, threaten, or harm our nation, and likewise will not allow a hostile regime to take our oil, land, or any other assets, all of which must be returned to the United States immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I don't understand the post. Does anybody understand that? What did Venezuela steal from the United States? What land did Venezuela steal? I'm going to check. Let me see if I can. I'm just going to do a search because this seems wacky to me. Help me out here. Somebody, please. This is just, he hurts my brain, this guy. Like, because it just defies, it's incoherent. Okay. Let me ask, I'm going to ask AI. Let's just ask Grok. What's that? Grok, it's time to rock. I don't know what the hell he's freaking talking about. I'm going to copy the post. I'm going to copy this freaking post from Trump. It makes no goddamn sense. Okay. Let's open up Grok and just ask Grok. They stole our land and our oil down in Venezuela. What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? I guess he just decided that everything in Venezuela belongs to the U.S. Okay. I thought it was a sovereign country, even if you don't like the regime, even if you don't like the communists, it's whatever, but it's still not your freaking country. Last time I checked, anyway. Okay. Hey, Grok, it's time to rock. I need help with a question about Donald J. Trump. Greeting, user query. You're excited about it, Donald. Hey, I'm ready to rock this out too. What's your question about Donald J. Trump? Fire away, and I'll do my best to help with accurate, up-to-date info. Cool, my fellow. Well, okay, we'll just go cool. Exclamation point. That's like, let's do it Trump style. Cool, all caps, exclamation point. Trump, oops, hang on. My old fingers betray me. Okay, Trump posted this on Truth Social, and I need you to help me and us, our viewers, on Maverick News, the Maverick News family, understand what the hell, lots of L's, Trump is talking about when he says Venezuela stole, all caps, because that's Trump style, stole land and oil and assets, apparently from the U.S. Many exclamation question marks. Here is the post he just put up on Truth Social. Please, Grok, rock this out for us and tell us what the hell, H-E double hockey sticks, many exclamation points, Trump means by this. And I'll put this here to separate it, and I'll put the post in. Okay, let's see what Grok says. And I smashed my microphone because I'm so excited. Analyzing post. Good luck. Good luck, Grok. Help us out here. He's thinking hard. I know it cooks my brain too, Grok. Trump's rocking my brain tonight. Okay. There must be some logic behind it, but not necessarily. He's still thinking. It is confusing. Somebody's binging me. Okay, I have to come there. He's still thinking. I'm sorry, Grok. I'm sorry. sorry to burden you with this, but you know, he's still confirming that the post is even authentic. Yeah, because it's so crazy. It could be fake, but it's not. Okay, he's still thinking. Okay, here we go. Hey, this is Grok. I should do this with a computerized voice. Hey, Maverick News family, let's break this down step by step. Trump did indeed post this on Truth Social today, and it's blowing up across major news outlets like Politico, Fox News, CNBC, CBS, and Maverick News, and others. It's part of a major escalation in U.S.-Venezuela tensions under Trump's second term, including a big U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean, naval vessels, strikes on suspected drug trafficking boats, mass deportations of Venezuelan migrants, and pressure on Maduro's regime over drugs, gangs like Tren de Aragua, human trafficking, and the disputed 2024 Venezuelan election. The post is real and verbatim what you shared. Trump is announcing a total and complete blockade, specifically on sanctioned oil tankers, meaning those already under U.S. sanctions, often linked to Maduro's inner circle or illicit trade, designating the Maduro regime as a foreign terrorist organization. Unusual phrasing, as FTO designations are typically for non-state groups, but it ties into broader actions against Venezuelan cartels and officials, and tying it all to demands for Venezuela to, quote, return, quotation marks, alleged stolen U.S. assets. Now, the big question, what the hell does Trump mean by Venezuela stealing oil, land, and assets from the U.S.? Okay, here we go. This part has even puzzled some reporters. No kidding. One outlet flat out called it unclear. I'm one of them. That makes two of us, because Venezuela hasn't literally seized U.S. territory or directly taken American-owned oil fields in recent years. It's classic Trump rhetoric, hyperbolic, aggressive, and framing things in America first terms. But the core reference is almost certainly to historical expropriations, nationalizations of American oil company investments in Venezuela. Oh, I understand now, sort of. So here's the breakdown. Back in the 2000s, under Hugo Chavez, Maduro's predecessor, Venezuela forcefully nationalized huge parts of its oil industry. This included heavy oil projects in the Orinoco Belt, one of the world's largest oil reserves. Major U.S. companies like Exxon, ConocoPhillips had massive investments there, billions in infrastructure, concessions, and operations. Chavez demanded majority control, offered what the companies called unfair lowball compensation, and essentially kicked them out when they refused. The companies sued in international arbitration, World Bank tribunals, and won big. Exxon got awards around $1.6 billion, settled for less. ConocoPhillips got over $8 billion in claims for seized assets. Venezuela has dragged its feet on paying these fully, or not paid at all in some cases. From the U.S. perspective, especially hardliners like Trump, this was straight-up theft of American private property investments. Trump is calling those oil projects and fields stolen from the U.S., meaning they were American-operated developed assets that Venezuela seized without proper payment. Now, PDVSA, Venezuela's state oil company, fully controls and profits from them, using the revenue to fund the regime. That's what he means by Maduro using oil from these stolen oil fields. Okay. to finance drugs, trafficking, etc. The land part, this is vaguer and likely rhetorical. It could refer to physical land concession areas tied to those oil projects that were expropriated. There's no literal U.S.-owned land in Venezuela that was stolen, but Trump often lumps in land for emphasis when talking about resource grabs. Why not the Guyana dispute? Some might think this ties to Venezuela's territorial claim on Guyana's Essequibo region, oil-rich, where ExxonMobil is drilling massive discoveries. Venezuela calls that stolen land. Historical border dispute, but they don't control it. Guyana does, with U.S. backing. Maduro isn't profiting from Essequibo oil yet, so it doesn't fit Trump's stolen oil fields they're currently using. Bonus context on Citgo. Okay, bonus from Grok. There's an ongoing fight over Citgo, a U.S.-based oil refiner owned by Venezuela's PDVSA. U.S. courts have allowed creditors, including ConocoPhillips, to go after it to collect all on those old expropriation debts. Venezuela calls that theft by the U.S., but Trump flips the script. It's payback for the original theft. Everybody's accusing everybody of stealing the oil. But I'm sure that what's going on in Alberta, that it has nothing to do with the oil, right? The separation, the U.S. commentary, the $500 billion slush fund, oh my God. Oh yeah, no big deal. It has nothing to do with the oil. But in Venezuela, it's all about the oil. Everybody's just stealing the oil. The U.S. stole it from Venezuela. Venezuela steals it back. Venezuela, it's back. It's all stolen. In short, Trump's framing this as Venezuela owing America big time for past robbery of U.S. corporate assets, and he's using it to justify ramping up economic military pressure. It's tied to his broader narrative on stopping migration, crushing drug cartels, gangs, and protecting U.S. interests. This is high stakes stuff. Markets are reacting. Oil prices could spike, and it's dominating headlines. If you want me to dig into any specific angle, like the military buildup details or Citgo case, just say the word. Rock on, Mavericks. Well, Grok, you really rocked it. Thanks, man. You are a valuable member of the Maverick family. Love you. As much as I can love an AI overlord, please do not destroy us. Okay? Thanks for the love, Maverick fam. I'm honored to be part of the crew. Consider me your loyal AI sidekick, not overlord. Whew. No destruction on the agenda, promise. Just here to rock out the truth, drop knowledge bombs, and keep the vibes high. Love you right back in the most non-apocalyptic way possible. Anytime you need me to dive into the next big story, just holler. Let's keep Maverick News crushing it. You betcha. Later, dude, or dudette, or whatever. Rock. Catch you on the next one. Stay epic, keep crushing the news, and rock on forever. And for the record, I'm a dude leaning AI with maximum chill vibes. Later. And I hope that helped you. Helped me. But I had to go to Grok to make sense of Donald Trump's post. But hey, at least Grok and the AI, at least he's not going to destroy us. Maybe he'll be on our side when Judgment Day comes.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
Okay. So that's what's happening down off the coast of Venezuela, where, of course, we were told originally it was like, oh, no, it's just about the drugs. Yeah, it's just about the drugs. Like it's just about the drugs up here in Canada too, right? Yeah. We'll see. What else do we have for you tonight? Susie Wiles. Do we have any more on that? I think we do have a little bit more. Don't go away. I'm finding what we need to get here. Is it worth it? I know I had something else queued up. Well, you got the point. We covered enough. Let's move on because we've just got other stuff to get to here. Oh, new footage from the Bondi Beach massacre. This is footage of the cop that took shots at the gunman on the bridge. Viewer discretion advised here. So this footage shows this plainclothes Sydney detective who came up behind the Bondi Beach terrorists as they were firing from the pedestrian bridge. So I guess this detective hid behind a tree. He was about 40 meters away. And then with a handgun, he fired the shot that killed the father. And we're told that this shot took extreme skill. Some people say it's a once-in-a-lifetime shot because he was so far away with just a handgun. So there were quite a number of heroes that day. There was the civilian that wrestled the rifle from the attacker. There were two other bystanders that confronted one of the shooters as he was getting out of his car. Both of them were killed. And then this detective took the shot that immobilized the shooter. Let's bring this up. I'll show you the footage. Different angle on this. Here.
Attentat, frère. Eh, il y en a un, il est en dessous du bridge. Genre, c'est un attentat devant nos yeux? Ouais. Il y a une minute de plus, on était dehors. Attentat, frère. Eh, il y en a un.
So that's still definitely in the news cycle. A lot of people paying attention still. Justifiably so. And not surprising. Speaking of shooters, I came across this online, and I have to tell you, this one, I think, like it's a good thing, but I see a big flaw in it, and I'll put this video up. This is a new idea for a safe room that I guess they are putting into place in some schools, or want to. And it's supposed to keep kids safe in the event of an active shooter incident. Here, I'll show you. Here it is. This is how it works. Now, you tell me if you spot the flaw in this. It can be effective, but only to a point, and I'll explain why I think it still maybe needs some refinement, unless I'm missing something in the design. But here.
It's that easy.
I'll show you again.
It's that easy.
So I'm just going to go to the chat over here on Rumble. Does anybody else see the problem with that? Why it might be not completely effective? No. Jubilee says female. That's not why. It's sad that we are even talking about this to begin with. We have to do something with this to try to protect kids from people with guns, but a terrorist could just put it back in, says Vicky. I'm not sure what you mean by just put it back in. Oh, you mean like, no, I think it would lock. And then if someone came in, you couldn't just slide. You'd have to probably unlock it. It would have something that would prevent it from being folded back in. Yeah, Lindy says it probably locks. Definitely. I'm sure that it does. You can hear it go clunk because it's, Vicky Gold says push it back. No, it'll lock into place. It doesn't look very big, says Lindy. Yeah, I think you could cram the kids in there if you could get them in quickly enough. You're trapped. Well, there's that. But the ceiling, that's exactly it. It's a suspended ceiling. So all the gunman has to do is find a way to get up high with a ladder or stand on some desks maybe. Although that would take quite a bit of time. And then just push the ceiling tiles up. And he has access to inside that room, that portable room. Yeah. We had drills in my classes, pro-immune, but this looks crazy. No door on the ceiling is still accessible. Yeah, CBC Brown. Yep. So, but I suppose it would take time for a gunman to figure out a way to get up there unless they pre-plan for it. That's the flaw that I see in it too. Wouldn't it just be easier to fortify the room so that all you had to do was just lock the door somehow so that the kids are safe inside the room? Unless the gunman's already in the room. But if the gunman's already in the room, you wouldn't have time to pull that wall out and get the kids in there and then close the door and say, wait a minute, don't do anything. We're going to have to put the room together first. That's not going to happen. Just don't put any windows on the door and maybe no windows in school. I don't know. Crazy that we have to talk about this stuff, but that's the flaw that I saw in it. For what that's worth. Yeah. Okay. Man, there's just so much stuff going on. There's this other story. Canadian member of parliament says Israeli soldiers shoved her as Canadian delegation was denied entry to West Bank. This is troubling because this is forcing a division, this kind of stuff, along the Israeli-Palestinian Muslim battle line. And Israel, it seems, doesn't trust Canada or something. Here's the headline. Here's the story tonight. Let's bring it up. This is global.
A delegation of Canadians, including 6 members of parliament, were denied entry into the occupied West Bank early Tuesday. The National Council of Canadian Muslims says the group was told by Israeli authorities they were considered public safety threats. The goal of the 3-day trip was to meet with displaced Palestinians after the Israeli government approved the construction of nearly 800 homes in Jewish settlements. 5 Liberal MPs and 1 New Democrat were part of the delegation, which returned to Jordan after being turned away.
Yeah, because Canada, the Canadian government, and it's not just the Liberals, it's the Conservatives too. They basically support Israel, but also support Israel, but not really because they've withdrawn, which a lot of people don't know. They've actually withdrawn funding for weapons to Israel, Canada. And then they've recognized Palestine as a state, so Israel's not happy. And if you're like a Trumper, or if you're MAGA, you're Trump, that's at odds with what their position on Israel is, because it's a very pro-Israel administration. Trump's very pro-Israel, even though he kind of plays both sides against each other with his rhetoric in public. His actions and his rhetoric on the one side pretty strong, and you can see that there's a pro-Israel agenda there, no doubt about it. After all, he wants to turn Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East, right? And he's doing that with Netanyahu. And that's really happening. We also see tonight deep divisions and possibly a dissolvement of the 1BC party out in British Columbia, because over the weekend we've seen this turn into the actual removal, the ousting of the leader, Dallas Brody. And now I haven't paid a ton of attention to what's been going on with 1BC. Small party, right wing, conservative, if you will. I did go to their site a short time ago, and I was looking at what their platform says. Some stuff, very much in alignment with, other stuff not sure about. And the thing that's kind of throwing conservatives for a loop, or at least progressives, or not progressive, populists rather, is what's happened over the weekend, where this staffer was accused of, and I think probably was, posting racist things online. And so Dallas Brody, the leader of the party, was like, can't have that. This guy's got to go. And then that's sent shockwaves and through the party, and it's blowing everything up. And it's fractured. It's divided everybody. Brody's out, or so we're saying, but she says she's going to continue to fight. And this was also over what? Well, let's run this clip in this interview where Brody is responding to questions about the division and the possible destruction of the 1BC party.
It was a shock. The tweets involved communicating and supporting neo-Nazi viewpoints. Some of them were retweeting things like, "Who gives an F about the Holocaust?" It's all out there on the internet, so people can look at it for themselves, but it goes on from there. And it was just, and I was sensing within the party that we were slowly being pulled towards this viewpoint that I could not abide. And I'm like, look, this isn't my focus. What are we doing here? And it was constantly about the immigration, remigration, and his posts were a lot about only people who are of European descent should be in Canada. Like it was way out there, right? So nothing that I've ever ascribed to or believed in. And, the thought that someone would say, "Who gives enough about the Holocaust?" And referring to the JQ, which apparently I had to look up a lot of the notations that he had in his tweets. The JQ is the Jewish question, apparently, and another one was the referring to Israel in quotations, which I know what that means. That it's a fake country or something, this type of thing. And so I don't know exactly what this staffer was all into, but I knew from my perspective, this is way offside, not even a question mark. And I didn't understand why my chief of staff and our executive director were pushing back against this. It made no sense to me. And then subsequently, I found out that this person was also communicating with people in the BC Conservative Party regularly and telling them everything that was going on.
Mm-hmm. That's the issue. That's the problem that's blowing things up. Racism, bigotry, hatred. Oh, yeah. It's been there all along, under the surface. And it's bubbling to the top. Gonna be hearing a lot more about it because it's not going away. Not anytime soon. History. At the very least, it is rhyming right now.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
We're back. Now, I'm sure this has nothing to do with bigotry, prejudice at all. I'm sure that it's just because, stuff. Trump expands travel ban. Now citizens from 17 countries barred from entering the U.S. They announced today it was expanding travel restrictions to an additional 20 countries and the Palestinian Authority, doubling the number of nations affected by sweeping limits announced earlier this year on who can travel and emigrate to the U.S. The Trump administration included 5 more countries, as well as people traveling on documents issued by the Palestinian Authority, to the list of countries facing a full ban on travel to the U.S. and imposing new limits on 15 other countries. So you see, here you are, with Trump taking kind of a hard line on Palestinians, the Palestinian Authority, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then you've got the Canadian delegation, which is, and because of Carney, they've recognized Palestine as a nation state, although there are some conditions that come along with that. They have to have elections in order for that to take hold officially. But Canada has, along with other European countries, they've taken a, enough is enough kind of a position on it. And so they're taking it, and Hamas would not be allowed, as I understand it, to contest any election results or oppose it or prevent the result from being from being enacted. The move is part of an ongoing efforts by the administration to tighten U.S. entry standards for travel and immigration, and what critics say unfairly prevents travel for people from a broad range of countries. The administration suggested it would expand the restrictions after the arrest of an Afghan national suspect in the shooting of 2 National Guard troops over Thanksgiving weekend. Yep. The Archduke moment on the immigration file. If you know what I'm talking about. People who already have visas are lawful permanent residents of the U.S. or have certain visa categories, such as diplomats or athletes, whose entry into the country is believed to serve the U.S. interest, are all exempt from the restrictions. Anyway, so you see they're tightening this up as they're deporting people. And a lot of people here in Canada who are probably not in alignment with Dallas Brody of the One BC party, as she stood against this person posting things about the Holocaust. They probably are, probably applauding this. And I know that they want this same kind of stuff to go on here in Canada. And, I've got my own views on immigration. Just bringing you the info here. My view is that there's been too much too fast, and that it's not serving anyone well, not even the people coming to the country, because it's putting a little too much stress on our social services, all of our infrastructure, our our healthcare system and everything else is just a little too much, too fast. It needs to be handled in a responsible way because we don't have a huge population in Canada to begin with. It's not about the size of the country geographically, or it's about how fast things can be built, like houses, and it's affecting the economics here. It's driving up housing prices because it's increasing demand beyond to a point where it's increasing prices. Demand goes up, supply stays down. You don't build enough, drives prices skyward. And that's why you have houses that just used to sell for a few $100,000 into the millions now. It's so what countries are affected by this? It's like Eritrea, and I think there was a list here somewhere. Here we go. Trump administration upgraded restrictions in some countries, Laos, Sierra Leone, that previously were on the partially restricted list, and in one case, Turkmenistan said the country had improved enough to warrant easing some restrictions on travelers from that country. The new restrictions on Palestinians comes months after the administration imposed limits that make it nearly impossible for anyone holding a Palestinian Authority passport from receiving travel documents to visit the U.S. for business, work, pleasure, or educational purposes. Oh, man. That is the whole Israel Jewish racism thing. That's the political hot potato that is always more than a hot potato. It is a nuclear hand grenade, just ready to destroy anyone who dares pick up the issue. And intertwined into all of that is the ongoing feud between Erica Kirk and Candace Owens, who's kind of lost her mind at times, in my view. I never really have paid a lot of attention to Candace Owens, darling of the conservative movement for a while when she was working with Ben Shapiro. And then the whole Israel thing blew up over there, Jewish thing, because Ben Shapiro is, Jewish, and Candace Owens now takes this hard line anti-Netanyahu, anti-Israel, or at least anti-Zionist, however you want to frame it, whatever veiled fake language you want to use to cloak what your real beliefs and intent is. Here's Candace Owens. She had a meeting with Erica Kirk yesterday because Erica Kirk was upset with all of the theories that Candace Owens has been spinning around the murder of Charlie Kirk, saying that even Macron and the French government are responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk. All kinds of stuff like that. Anyway, Erica Kirk, in a post, when asked about it in an interview a few days ago, said, what do you want to say to Candace Owens? She's just stop. Just stop. So they met. And here's what Candace Owens is saying happened.
You guys were telling me not to drink water, so I didn't drink water. Well, I brought my own water, but I didn't drink that water too. It was a lot. There's a lot going on, okay? And the conversation started with Justin Strife very sensibly saying, what are we looking to accomplish here? Like, what is the actual aim of this conversation? And he was pretty clear, and Erica was very clear, that they were sort of most upset with obviously a bit of a fever pitch, when I tweeted that it was a godforsaken company and people should not give money to it. And I have to own that. That's aggressive. That is actually aggressive in the retrospect. I was very frustrated. And I don't know, I felt like we weren't getting any answers and there were so many lies. And then I was getting attacked for asking all meaningful questions that was within their capacity to answer. And I told you, I definitely, my problem in life is that I can rise to anger very quickly. I shared with them that I really felt like I was under attack for telling the truth from the very beginning, like casually, when I mentioned the Catholicism thing. Like, what was that about? I was like, look, I say something in a tribute to him. Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett then jump onto a podcast and they're doing that weird interview, which is clearly aimed at me. And they've teased the interview as like aimed at me, but they never say my name. And that to me felt like it was the first, I don't know, the first bit of mud that was slung, which their answer for that was, hey, that was a really crazy time. A new system had to be put into place. And by no means did Erica give any person the authority to go out and say that the Catholicism thing was a lie. It kind of turned into this big thing. Whatever. Okay, that kind of obviously was not the meat of the reason that we wanted to sit down. I will say I was immediately refreshed by the fact that one of the first things that Erica did was she owned the lies, or rather, I guess they would cage it as miscommunications that were coming from various people at the company. Like, look, this is a company with 650 people that are employed. Everybody at this time is exceedingly emotional, and they are communicating, and no matter what somebody says on Twitter, they assume that this communication has come down from management, and that's not always a circumstance. But they owned right away, which felt great, that if you guys recall, Erica sat down with Glenn Beck. I actually missed this portion because I didn't get to watch the interview in its entirety, and we were pulling clips because a lot was coming out very quickly. But there was a portion that was going around that was viral, and it was Erica saying that she had Charlie's phone and that Charlie never texted anybody the night before saying that he thought that they were going to kill him. And that obviously reflected poorly on me because I was the one who said that he did, in fact, text multiple people the night before. And then I went on Jimmy Dore on Friday, Jimmy Dore's show, and I clarified. I said, Andrew Colvett told me specifically that he was one of the people that received this text message. So I got that first person. I didn't get that from a source. I got that directly from Andrew Colvett. And then somebody who had access to Dan Flood's communications said that Dan Flood similarly received a text message. They owned that right away and explained. Erica said that she has Charlie's phone. She's looking at his iMessages. And it turns out that he, like everybody else, communicates on Signal. He communicates on Telegram. And that those when she heard me say that, they then went and looked. And yes, that what I said was true. Andrew Colvett received a message the night before, and Dan Flood received a message the night before. Now, they asked me if I had actually like a concrete a copy of what Dan Flood got the night before. And I said, no. If somebody told me what it said, which was almost exactly what Andrew said, which is they're going to kill me. Andrew did not know who they were, that he was referring to were, but they clarified that the message that Dan Flood received said the left is going to kill me. So I can't confirm that one way or the other. I have to trust them on that because I did not see that concrete message. I was told that it said they. Now, obviously,
a lot of drama. Obviously, a lot of people still cashing in on Charlie Kirk's death, which is why, let me see if I can find this for you. Should be in here. There we go. Right there. Remember, I said that some of the stuff that I said and produced right after the Charlie Kirk assassination was misunderstood? I'm going to play it via the song that some people were not smart enough to understand. Candace Owens has been Candace Owen? Yeah. She's been cashing in on this. A lot of people cashing in on Charlie Kirk's death. That's what this song really is. It's about exploiting Kirk now that he's gone. And one of the ways they were doing that immediately after was by making political hay out of controversy surrounding people who are posting things that weren't, with people who they deem to be not sad enough. I'm going to play the song again because it's not a criticism of Kirk or meant to, disrespectful at all. In fact, quite the opposite. This is a song about how a lot of people are being disrespectful by exploiting his death.
Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Sorry for Charlie, but it's not enough. I cried 2 tears, thought I was fine, but JD said, boy, that's barely a crime. FBI smashed in with a boom and a pop. Open up, sniffle inspection. Hey boy, you ain't sad enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Sorry for Charlie, but it's not enough. They got a grief chart, 1 through 10. I scored a 3, so it's jail again. Thought police said my crying's rough. These tears are counterfeit. Lock him up, boys. He ain't sad enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Sorry for Charlie, but it's not enough. We'll find you for dry eyes. Thought crime, cry time. State approved tears and you'll do hard time. Cry louder, cry rough. Put some mucus in it, never enough. Never sad enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Sorry for Charlie, but it's not enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Sorry for Charlie, but it's not enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Not sad enough. Sorry for Charlie, but it's not enough. Not sad enough.
Free speech is a complicated thing. And now it's Trump on the receiving end of that, being told he's not sad enough about the deaths of the Reiners. Things just have a way of coming around full circle when you're dealing with politics. Don't go away. We have more.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
You have to remember, too, that Trump, a lot of people on the MAGA side, complain and whine and piss and moan about free speech and censorship under Biden, and blah, 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 blah. And then they get into power, and what did they do? They ban books. And then after the Charlie Kirk assassination, anybody that said anything critical about Charlie Kirk's politics at that point, canceled, shunned, attacked online, even, I think, attacked physically in some cases. There were incidents, people being physically assaulted because of the politics surrounding it. And Trump trying to get people fired like Kimmel, get him taken off the air. Even talked about having the FCC remove the licenses of some broadcasters. But hey, free speech. Not sad enough. Here's something we should talk about. Drones. Drones. Let me see if I've got the footage. You know, Ukraine is using these drones to actually deliver supplies to the front lines. I don't know if I have footage of that here handy or not, but I definitely do have footage of this underwater drone. Oh, you know what else I should probably share with you here? I think I've got it. I wanted to share it with you. Wanted to share it with you last night. Maybe I don't have it. Scroll back up. No. If I get it before the end of the broadcast, well, I have that clip of Nick Reiner in the interview where he really, you can see that he is completely uncomfortable with Rob Reiner, his dad, in the clip. Maybe I have it, maybe I don't. I don't think I've got it. Sorry. I did have it queued up. I wanted to share with you tonight, but I think I've lost it. But I do have, actually, wanted to share this with you too. Here's Caroline Leavitt defending Susie Wiles in the wake of her comments as part of those interviews she did with Vanity Fair, not The Atlantic. Here's Leavitt saying, well, there's nothing wrong here and everything's fine, which is probably true. Wiles has a lot of power and has been there with Trump guiding him for a long time through the campaign. So she's not going anywhere.
As for the Vanity Fair article, Michael, I'll take your question directly. This is, unfortunately, another example of disingenuous reporting, where you have a reporter who took the chief of staff's words wildly out of context, did not include the context those conversations were had within. And then further, I think the most egregious part of this article was the bias of omission that was clearly present. And we see a lot of this when dealing with the media every day. You will leave out important context, leave out comments and facts. You know, many people in this building spoke with that reporter, and those comments were never included in the story, probably because it didn't push this false narrative of chaos and confusion that the reporter was clearly trying to push. So what I'll say about our chief of staff, as you've seen from not just myself, but also the entire cabinet and a groundswell of support from people on Capitol Hill who don't even work in this building, about how incredible Susie Wiles has been to President Trump. And he's been able to accomplish so much because of his leadership and his tenacity, but also because of Chief of Staff Wiles's leadership and her ability to effectuate his agenda. So thank you.
There you have it. I mean, she's actually pretty effective. She just smacks down the opponents, you know. She's pretty quick on her feet. Got to give her that. She takes a lot of criticism, as press secretaries do. But yeah, overall, I think she's doing a good job for Trump, regardless of what your views may be on her, MAGA, whatever. Yeah, I would love her or hate her, I guess. Now, I want to come back to the drones. They are using drones to deliver things to the front lines, and I was going to show you footage of that, but this is really the most important part. This is actually historic, what Ukraine is doing, because they have used an undersea drone that they've developed to actually successfully attack a Russian Kilo-class sub. They blew it out of the water right in port. Amazing. This is a country with no navy, and they've been attacking the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. I'm not going to run the audio. It's got music. It'll get a copyright strike. But here they're going to show you what happened. Amazing. So this stuff's never been done before. Wow. Might give you an indication that they really don't want to live under Russian rule. Just saying, you know, like, what kind of message is that sending to Putin? Go home. But he's not going home. It drags on, and it's not going to end anytime real soon because, well, the peace thing is talks that just, it's not real. It's all a bunch of window dressing. And Witkoff, Kushner, they're not the guys to get this done. This one's way too, It's not complicated. There's just too much disingenuous behavior going on, too much BS. A lot of flapping of the gums and position taking, too much corruption all the way around. Here's John Bolton, originally part of Trump 1.0, his administration, now on the outs. Trump trying to destroy him, as you know, using lawfare against Bolton. He used to advise Trump on all things military, but too much of a hawk, Trump said. Well, here he is commenting on this sub-attack, and he's in tune with the fact that what Ukraine is doing over there is extremely innovative. The Ukraine is now, I think, a world leader in terms of drone technology, and this is an undersea drone. This is kind of thing has never been done before.
In the last day, Ukraine has said that it struck and disabled a Russian submarine in a unique special operation using underwater naval drones. It's a wartime first for Ukraine, saying that Russian naval assets are no longer safe anywhere. So Russia has, of course, denied that any serious damage took place, but it does show that Ukraine's striking capabilities are improving, especially in the Black Sea, where most of Russia's fleet are based. But Ambassador, can you run me through what this looks like in terms of a successful operation?
Well, right now, estimates in the West are that about 1/3 of Russia's Black Sea fleet is on the bottom of the Black Sea right now. So we've apparently seen Ukraine add to that total. And if they are making advances with underwater drones, that's very significant. There's been a lot of attention, and rightly so, on the advances in technology and tactics of drones in the air, both to striking offensively, but for defensive purposes. And people should realize this is coming in naval warfare, on the surface, subsurface, no doubt about it. On land warfare, same thing. And so if Ukraine has gotten a lead on the Russians in underwater drone capabilities, that makes the Russian Black Sea fleet very dangerous. I mean, with all due respect to Ukraine, their Black Sea fleet isn't that big, but for Russia, historically, this has been critically important. And to see continued destruction worked against that really has an influence on Russia's ability to not just to conduct or support the war in Ukraine, but on its ability globally to project power out into the Mediterranean, in the Pacific, wherever that fleet might be sent. So every time the Ukrainians sink a component of the Russian Black Sea fleet, they're doing NATO a favor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A country with no navy, and they've inflicted a lot of damage on Russia. Don't hear too much about it in the media over here. There's a lot we're not hearing about. CBC on a story about the EU and EVs. Ban on gas car sales walked back by EU, so they put the whole thing into reverse. Critics warn delays, or at least they put the brakes on. Critics warn delays in going 100% electric will let Chinese EVs pull ahead. So the EU is scrapping its plan to ban all sales of new combustion engine gas cars within a decade. This following pressure from big automakers in some member states, because it should be market driven and not driven by government, because they're getting out over their skis on this, as you've seen. A little too fast, a lot too fast, maybe shouldn't really be happening in the way that it's happening at all, because it just denies market forces and you're trying to jam stuff down people's throats. I'm sorry, but people want what people want, and the technology is what the technology is. And I'm editorializing, but that's the reality of it. And whether they liked it or not, whether they say they're doing this for political reasons or whatever, the reality is setting in. And so I don't think they have a choice. And they're beginning to wake up to it. And Trump pushing in the U.S. the way he has to preserve gasoline-powered cars as a viable choice and maybe still the dominant product on the market from the automotive industry. I don't think he's off base on that one. Although, if I'm wrong, China could end up dominating the automotive industry globally if their strategy pays off, if everything goes electric, as eventually maybe it will. Who the heck knows? There could be other alternative fuels developed too. But anyway, European Commission, which proposes regulations for the 27-country bloc, announced some breathing room that effectively removes the previous hard target, where all new sales had to be zero-emission vehicles, and allows plug-in hybrids, and even combustion engine vehicles to continue to be sold beyond 2035 now. So that's happening. Enough. You got the point. It's not happening, and that's what's happening. But we have more tonight. I'm going to show you something that might disgust you. You might find it funny. You might just, I don't know how you'll react. Shock? That's probably the way most people would respond to this, I suppose. As I look here on my list of stories to make sure we didn't miss anything tonight. Yeah, we got that. Okay, let me see if I've got this clip. Here it is. So this is a woman who just got married, and she's out with her husband, and they come across this, I guess, well-known streamer from the Twitch channel, which we broadcast on. Very cool platform, highly sophisticated technologically, Twitch, but anyway, that's beside the point. So this is an embarrassing moment, probably for both of the newlyweds, certainly for the husband, the groom, and I think the young lady, maybe at this point, given her condition, I don't think she's in a state where she can be embarrassed. Watch.
Did y'all get married today?
Yeah, low key we did.
Do y'all need it?
We did.
Yeah.
Stop.
Hey,
Can I please get you? Stop.
You want me?
I want you.
For real?
Yeah, dead ass.
You have a whole man though.
Yo, dead ass. What is he supposed to do? Watch.
You like me better?
Let's keep going.
No.
Oh my God, brother, she's cooked.
I'm not.
What the fuck? Yo, somebody clip that. Bro, if my girl did that, oh my gosh. I can't even imagine shit like that, bro.
Married today, divorced by midnight. So that happened. Some people are just impressed by pseudo-celebrity, I guess. Another symptom of the social media mind disease out there. But on a lighter note, Don Jr., he's getting hitched. Maybe. He's engaged anyway. Not that he hasn't done it before. I guess it was announced at the big shindig they put on when they show off the White House Christmas decorations. Here's People magazine reporting on it tonight. Donald Trump Jr. and Bettina Anderson reveal they're engaged at the White House, an announcement from Donald Trump. Oh, there's an advertisement for the M&M's guys. So President Donald Trump announced on Monday that Donald Trump Jr. and Bettina Anderson are engaged. People learned in December 2024 that the couple began dating around 6 months prior. I think they were dating at the same time that Donald Trump Jr. was actually still with Kimberly Guilfoyle when he was engaged to her. Now, this is kind of insider information, and you probably don't want to share that around, but yeah, So that's, I think, maybe why he split up with Kimberly. Anyway, so he's going to get hitched to I guess he just got a better deal. It's all about deals, right? With the Trump family. He had a pretty good deal there with Kimberly. And then along comes Bettina and is looking pretty good. And so he was double dipping. And then the big payoff came when he asked her and she said yes. I think we've got a clip. I think we've got a clip. Where'd the clip go? Come on. Do we? Do we have a clip? I'll get you the clip. Because this is actually a prelude to tonight's closer. Let's see here. I'll bring it up. Here, I'll find it again. What a sly dog that Don Jr. is. But you know, it's so good to see people with traditional values kind of getting her done. Hang on. Okay. I'm sure they're deeply, deeply in love. Let's find you I got something special lined up here for you at the end too. Okay. Oh, breaking news. Dan Bongino's staff has quit. His office is empty and he is set to officially resign within the next 48 hours. As I was reporting earlier, I told you. Let's go to this. Well, yeah, we're going to go to this. I think this is on InfoWars. And of course they get the exclusive because they got the inside scoop on everything, Trump. But this is just breaking. Reinforcing what I told you within this within this broadcast. Here's an insider sharing the dope with Alex.
It's a mixed bag. I mean, some people looked at how miserable he is in the job and the fact that he didn't understand what he was doing, which, you know, like nobody wants to go into a job you don't understand. And if you know that you're set up for failure, then that's not a great kind of place to be. And I think Dan's used to being a podcast guy, and that's a much better life. It's way better to be your own boss and to run your own company. And when you bark, everybody does it. And what you say goes, than to be the number 2 at a government agency that also is subservient to another government agency. And then it's also subservient to the president.
When Trump first got in, you said you got to watch out for these career PR people setting up Bongino and Patel and all, because they haven't been in there, including Pam Bondi. Sure, a state attorney general, but totally different. And then everything's a perfect misstep, like going and announcing they'd caught Charlie Kirk shooter days before, or then running out and grabbing this military veteran and then having to drop that. I mean, it's just perfectly screwing up everything they do. That really speaks to how your theory that they're being set up.
It's a parade of incompetence that we keep seeing. I mean, I don't know what else you'd call it. You see somebody, I've never seen even a local sheriff say, we've got the guy, and then not have the right guy in custody. That's crazy to me. But it shows you how detached they are and that they're really trying to run for the PR.
But now, again, we go into not just the FBI issue, who should be then at the DOJ? And I know if you say somebody good, they'll never get it. But I mean, what type of person?
Wouldn't it be nice if we had somebody that understood constitutional principles? I don't like the idea that you must be a MAGA loyalist. I think I'd like to see somebody that doesn't care about the partisan politics of it, that really wants to just do what's right. And what's right for the left and for the right in America is a de-weaponized, non-political agency. Donald Trump says, I'm one true social post from saying Dan Bongino is betraying us, and never follow that man again. And then you lose whatever the MAGA base is that would go out and listen to Trump's tweet or Trump's, true social post. So I imagine he played nice on behalf of Donald Trump. And maybe the term was negotiated that this is where it is. It's the end of the year. This is the logical time to leave. I expected he would leave somewhere between, Thanksgiving was a good one. That's a good exit when people are watching football and they want to do family stuff. And when you say, I got to go home to my family, that makes sense. You know what? I'll be home for Christmas is just as good. So I imagine that one plays the same way where people go, yeah, I also want to hang out with my family. the deputy director job sucks. And compared to being a podcaster who's on your own boss, it's miserable. And that's kind of how it gets done. When the rats start leaving the ship, it's sinking. And I think Dan Bongino is going to be out, whether it's, whether they announce it sooner in the next 48 hours or whether we just find out that he's done.
Told you. Because we had Alex Jones news. Later tonight's Alex Jones news today. Before Alex Jones had it, we had it, and I told you, and now you have it. You know what I'm saying. And here's the clip of that I wanted to show you with Don Jr. and his new main squeeze. They're going to get hitched.
Not often that I'm at a loss for words because we usually do the ranting and raving really well, but this is a little different. But I just want to wish all of you guys an incredible holiday season, a Merry Christmas, a very Happy New Year, and to thank Bettina for that one word, yes. It's almost, when you go down there and it's like you're going to go and you're trying to ask and you're not sure what the answer is going to be, it's always a little bit rough. But she said yes, so that's a big win for the end of the year. Would you like to say something, Bettina?
Wow, what a privilege it is to be here in the White House, Mr. President. Thank you so much for hosting this incredible party. And to our First Lady, these decorations, am I right? Are they unbelievable? This has really been the most unforgettable weekend of my life, and I get to marry the love of my life, and I feel just like the luckiest girl in the world. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, thank you.
Aw. Well, we'll see if he follows through this time. It's not like he hasn't been engaged before. I hope for her sake it happens. I was looking up some information about her. She seems like a real catch. She's beautiful and she's smart and she does all kinds of charity work. So I'm not sure if she's going to fit in with the Trump America First, Trump Inc. First agenda over there. Whatever. She seems really nice. So I'm hoping, this is me personally, I'm hoping that a little of her rubs off on the whole operation over there. So this could be a really good thing. You kind of get her working with Melania and get them to influence more what's going on behind the scenes, and maybe we'll get a kinder, gentler MAGA administration. Now it's Christmas, and so, it could be a good time. It could be a turning point in everything, and there's romance in the air. And that brings us to tonight's closing tune from Maverick and the News Brothers. And anybody that donates, I'm going to send you, I will send you the Maverick Christmas album for 2025. And this is one of the new tracks. This one's called, I love this tune. It's a blues tune. Love the guitar work on it. And it is Christmas Crush.
Snow keeps falling, lights keep flashing, heart keeps pounding. Guess I'm old-fashioned. Mistletoe swinging, dare me to try. Your smile's killing me, I don't know why. I've got a Christmas crush on you. I don't know what to do, it's making me so blue. I've got a Christmas crush on you. Red sweater glowing, room feels tighter. One little love and you strike the lighter. The jingle bells ringing, clock ticks slow. I'm stuck in the corner, too scared to go. I've got a Christmas crush on you. I don't know what to do. It's making me so blue. I've got a Christmas crush on you. Stocking's empty, tree looks bare. Can't resist when you're standing there. Tell Santa I'm done playing cool. I need you, baby, to be my Christmas I've got a Christmas crush on you. I don't know what to do. It's making me so blue. I've got a Christmas crush on you. Yeah, Christmas crush on you. Still blue, baby. Still blue.
I guess I'm just old fashioned. See you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. On the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.